How's everybody this evening? All right. This is something you can't forget, aging and memory. You know, my parents would be excellent examples of this because it's something you don't start after you lost it. It's something you do ahead of time because you're not going to bring your brain back real easy. So jump ahead of time to something like that. Don't wait till after the fact. All you folks that have been trying to beat my foot bath still have not conquered that yet. So a lot of people are having fun with that. It's quite an incredible detoxification procedure. So I have a lot of patients having fun. So give that a thought, and if you can beat mine, I said, you know, it's all on me. It's all you got to do. And I've done it once, and I never had to do it again. After doing this biomeridian on some patients, I had something interesting which happened, and it was, I saw a different machine. So basically, I was kind of overwhelmed at this new machine, and anybody that had a biomeridian test in the office, come in, they're going to run this on you for free. And I'm kind of impressed. This machine, I had some interesting things. It picks out a Bach flower remedy for you, and if I can find my Bach flower remedy suggestion, it said, "This dude sure isn't a fan of Mondays." It just started to make me laugh because this was the personality it picked up. He does not want to go face the week. And it was kind of funny. It's finding some interesting characteristics about us that nobody wants to admit in the office that we have to admit. So just kind of some fun things. Next. How many people have heard me talk about eating for 27 years? It's totally against the way that society's told you to eat. So whenever I have my blood taken, and I want you to remember, with all the doctors out there today, when I go to the hospital and I watch people, I have a huge trouble telling where the patients stop and the hospital people start. Because the line always kind of looks blurred because they all kind of look like the same people to me. I don't see healthy people where I'm supposed to see healthy. So the way I've talked about eating, this is my latest blood test at 50. I do a high protein, high fat diet. And my cholesterol is 164. My triglycerides are 74. My HDL is 54. And my LDL is 95. My ratio is a 3.0. And if I told your medical doctor how I ate, he would get sick. But those aren't the numbers he knows how to deliver. You. That is what my body does with my numbers. This is genetic. Most of this stuff is genetics, and that's what my panel. Next. My PSA is a 0.8. I've talked about keeping the estrogens out of my bodies forever. My CRP is 2.7. Just some interesting things about blood work. So ask your doctor, what does his blood work look like, and see what he says. See if he'll show it to you, because I will. Next. Now, I can get a little better picture on this. Paul Newman's 83 years old, and my dad sitting right there is 82 years old. So about 3 or 4 Fridays ago, we had to go. I went to the Attorney General's party at Laurel Park to see all the big shots and, you know, kiss Republican Kishka for $100, and that's basically what it involved. So I paid my $100. Mike Cox came over. "Hi, Randy, how are you?" He knows all about me because all my patients talk to him about all the cool things that have happened. So he walked over, and I had something very specific I wanted to talk to him about. So he came over and starts talking, and about the second or third sentence, the Irish band started up, and all the kids came in clogging with their shoes. So all of a sudden, we couldn't really talk or hear anything anymore. So one of these Red Wings wives, one of these retired Red Wings wife, who everybody would know her name, and I'm not going to say it because I picked on her husband, she walked over, and I said to him, I never got a chance to say what I wanted to say to him. And she said, "What do you want to say to him?" "Here, talk to John Pastor. He's the state rep. This is his good buddy. Anything you want him to know, tell him, and he'll make sure you get it." So it all started sitting here with the, Dad, can you stand up for a second? Now, he has one color to his face, okay? He's pink, and he's flesh-colored, and he looks the same. Okay, this is what he looks like. So I'm standing there listening to the senators and congressmen. Geez, Ray, you look good. Geez, Ray, he's the only politician, the older one still left alive in Livonia because they're all dead. Geez, Ray, you look good. So I'm sitting there, and about the fifth one that said that. Gee, Ray, you look good. That was it. I said, do you know why my dad looks good? I said, you want to know why my dad looks good? They said, no, why does your dad look so good? He's on a high-fat, high-protein, high-cholesterol diet, and he's got high blood pressure. And I stopped. He's on a high-fat, high-cholesterol, high-protein, and he's got high blood pressure, and that's why he looks this good. All his friends with normal cholesterol, chemically controlled, normal blood pressure, chemically controlled, and a low-fat diet looks like that. So I could walk through this crowd, and I have a lot of regular patients after all these years, and I could spot the margarine, the trans fat users, because they look like him. So you'd send me through any nursing home, anything, and all these people that look blotchy. Red, white, red, white. I can look at these people, they're dead men walking, and they're dying. And I said to them, next, this is how you get beautiful skin. This is the secret to looking better than, this is how I got Miss Michigan the title, right there. Next. Learn to use your calcium and your F pearls. I want you to get to that vaccine one. Can you skip to that one? That one about autism, of the parents going to jail. This is what I wanted to talk to the Attorney General about. This and only this. This is what I wanted to talk about. So the band started up, and that was it. So I didn't have a chance, so now I got the state rep and the Red Wings and this other people standing around, and I said to John, they said, if you want to, this lady said, if you want to get this to Cox, you got to talk to Pastor. He'll tell everything. And I looked at him. I said, let me give you something to think about. He said, what? I said, you know, I want you just to have a wild scenario in your head. Do you realize that your brain is half fat and cholesterol, and the other half, it's mostly fat and cholesterol? I looked at these dudes. Your brain's fat and cholesterol. Let me tell you something. What do you think I could do if I put everybody on a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet and their brains are fat and cholesterol? I said, I bet you I could do a bird flu. I'll bet you I could do a swine flu. I said, I'll bet you I could do a Hong Kong flu. I'll bet you I could get weapons of mass destruction that weren't there. I'll bet you I could get your kids to run up and down the streets with pink ribbons to give money to the group that sold all their mother's hormones that caused all the cancer. Because those are my son's friends, and one of them had to come up to me and ask me if you want to run around the park for a pink ribbon. And every time somebody says something to me like that, I said, well, wait a minute. With his breast cancer, things kind of understood. It was hormones. They stayed out of the sun when they should have been in the sun. They got all kinds of chemicals they shouldn't have had. I said, it's a real simple thing. You need iodine, you need sun, you don't need all this estrogen, and you need good food. That's how you keep from breast cancer, so while everybody's running around to hand the pharmaceutical company for more money for something that they already figured out, it ain't going to happen. So I went on, I talked about fluoride, and then I talked about the lead, then I talked about the street signs with all the autism advertisements on the side of the road, and the government said, shots cause autism. Next. So the government finally admits that shots cause autism, and at the bottom it says the FDA and health authorities were guilty of institutional malfeasance. So every time you go around the mall and you see the kids shaking and slobbering and drooling, I want you to realize that the U.S. House of Representatives found this was hidden from you. So I said, let me ask you, you think we could talk people into doing real stupid stuff if I got their brains asleep? And I said, oh, wait a minute, too late. It already happened. It's done. Congratulations, you were quite successful. Now it's just, this is what I told them. And then I started on the two yo-yos in Washington, and my dad's like, this isn't the group to start this with. I said, yeah, it is. This is where it started from. This is the ones I got to ask about it. So $4 a gallon, all the crap that's going on right now, and nobody cares about anything other than Britney Spears is wearing underpants. And I sure hope she is, because if she doesn't, we're in big trouble. So that's basically what I told the senators and the congressmen and the attorney general. And I said, this vaccine and the parents in jail, I said, 27 years I've been listening to your crap come through the airwaves. But this is the time that you drew the line in the sand. I said, if you think my kid, in 1 week, they said shots cause autism. Wednesday, they said the flu shot doesn't work. And Friday, they said it's time to vaccinate your children with the flu shot. That all was in 1 week. And the only way anybody could listen to this crap come across the TV is if your brains were asleep. So since all your brains are asleep and nobody's protesting and nobody's saying a word, we just got special ed killing us financially, killing us. Any teachers in the crowd? What's it like to turn into a babysitter instead of a teacher? So that's basically what I told, and I'll probably be the only one standing there, but I said, if you think that you're going to put me in jail because my kid didn't get the monkey virus shot, I said, we're going to have huge problems. And what I looked at them and honestly said, I would suggest to take a backhoe and start digging holes around Lansing, because there's going to be some of you guys in that hole. And I'm not kidding. And I'm the only one, as I can tell. Next. This is what happened to the kid and they lost the case. This is how they lost. It had nothing to do with the symptoms. This one child stopped talking, could not repeat mom or dad, lost his relatedness to his environment and developed insomnia and screamed incessantly and arched on the floor. So they brought all the scientists and specialists together and everybody gave them 300 reasons why the shots didn't do it. The jury said, look, the kid was run over by a train at 18 months. We don't care what you did. We don't care how you did it. We don't even care what you're saying. The kid was perfectly normal. Now he's a basket case after 9 shots. You did it, period. And they gave the mom $860,000. This isn't brain surgery. And to watch the scientists try to explain away the obvious, it happens. So now you think we had a victory? Bill Frist signed the Eli Lilly Protection Act, because he's a medical doctor, you know. It was part of that Patriot Act thing. You guys are going to bail out all the autistic vaccine down. It's the U.S. taxpayer fund. Merck just walked away. Gilead Sciences, Hoffman LaRoche just walked away. You guys pick up the tab. Unbelievable. So that's what I told Congress. That's why now I have a food tester. Somebody's going to check things for me. But, you know, they just sat there with this faraway look in their eye, and it's pathetic when they know exactly what you're talking about. Next, we're back where I was. Anybody see Larry King on Jenny McCarthy, or Jenny McCarthy on Larry King? How many people saw her? Take 3 pediatricians to lunch? She killed them. This woman, I'm watching this thinking, how well, her kid went into cardiac arrest after a shot. They finally whacked the loudmouth. Her kid died in her arms. It took her a long time to get the kid to speak. She is their worst nightmare. Their worst. I'm watching this thinking, I wonder if she's going to be able to handle it. 10 minutes into the show, she did just fine. There's some things she should have. She's in town tonight speaking somewhere. She's around town here somewhere. I would have loved to have given her a second thing to say. There's some stuff she doesn't know what to say. She knows the good stuff. You get sick through your nose and through your mouth. You get sick here and here, period. You don't put animal viruses in your bloodstream. There's no way. I'll debate anybody, anywhere, and to talk simple biology confounds them. You can't put animal viruses in your bloodstream, period. You get sick through your nose and through your mouth. I got this little monkey virus back in about 63, the little sugar cube, so do your homework, punch in SV-40, and 50% of us 50-year-olds got tumors in bone, brain, and lung from the monkey virus that was in a sugar cube that I stood in line to take. So everybody my age, I'm a walking time bomb. If that thing decides to land, it's going to land. So when you talk about only taking pills when you're sick, I got to take stuff when I'm well, because the stuff that they put into me is still brewing somewhere, and I hope my immune system's stronger than what they put in me. Because all of us, I remember the day I took that. Eli Lilly. They really got fired up about this TV show. They were talking about vaccine and autism, and oh boy, did this stir up the works. Next. Who's my age? Who's 50 in here? Because the young kids are lost in space. They're lost. Sorry, guys, you're gone. How many people remember all the crap that you were fed about AIDS? How many? Just think about this. This was huge, what you were told. Remember the older people, we all know, there was everything they told you about that disease never happened. Everything. Never. Never. Less than 0.5% of young adults. We were all supposed to have blood relatives. Everybody was supposed to have a family member. What this was sold to the public, and it's kind of funny to watch it just disappear into Nowheresville. Promiscuous homosexuals, male homosexuals, and junkies and blood transfusion people have all died the same. Nothing's changed. Next. You know, we're always lucky. Well, today you guys are lucky, right? My son went to Northville School. Today they made them all lay on the floor, and they ran the dogs through Northville School today. It was a big day. They sniffed out the parking lot. They sniffed out the school, totally disrupted everything, and the cops ran through it like stormtroopers. And my wife says, what do you think about this? I said, too bad the dogs can't smell Ritalin, because they would have went nuts. So when you're an actor and you die from oxycodone, Vicodin, Valium, all the famous ones, OxyContin, Valium, Xanax, Restoril, Unisom, Vicodin, just make sure you OD on legal medications, because it always helps. You don't want to do anything on illegal stuff. Make sure you croak on this kind of stuff, because you're in. And it's just an accidental thing, and it's no real big deal. So we all take 6 or 7 OxyContins every day. It's kind of something I have a habit of doing myself. Next. You know, I was thinking about that today as they went through Northville again. You know something? When was the last time Cheech and Chong pulled out a machine gun and shut up a school that you know of? Is there something that I missed here? Did they, you know, Dylan Klebold was on Luvox at Columbine. I was out skiing about a month or so. We got to drive by the Columbine school. And to them, it's a city. To me, it's like, oh my gosh, there's Columbine. He was on Luvox. That was his little thing. So all these kids today are taking things that the dogs would have never been able to smell. So this dude was a hand washer. You ever see a hand washer, a checker? He'd have to check the door 53 times at night. You women, you normal women, he'd have drove you up a complete tree. He'd check the house, he'd check the door, he's going to check to see the stove's on. So they put him on Prozac. So he decided to stop Prozac because he said it made him feel like a zombie. So this is the point, and I'm going to give you a secret today. 3 weeks, 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. When you're 3 weeks after discontinuing, that's when it happens. At 3 weeks, your brain runs out. And if you don't have something to pick up your serotonin, after 3 weeks, he became violent. There was not one lick of serotonin in his brain. Next. Now, I'm going to give you a secret, and in aging and memory, I'm going to take you on a further journey. Jim Carrey just came out. Can you flash to that Jim Carrey one? Jim Carrey said, I'm off Prozac. I figured out how to make my brain work. Let me show you. Can you go to that, please? Can you go to the next one? He said, I take 5-HTP for my serotonin, I take tyrosine for my dopamine, and I eat meat and vegetables. And I quit the sugar and the wheat. Done. I've been saying that for 5,000 years. I can't get anybody to do it, but now he's no longer depressed. No dairy, no wheat, and meat and vegetables, and tyrosine and 5-HTP. Can you go back to the other one? Now, when you've been on all these Paxil effects or Xanax, all these antidepressants and anti-anxiolytics, you got to learn to use your DHA to repair the synaptic receptors that are exhausted. This is the part I'm going to get at in detail in my next lecture. Fish oil can repair the brain. And it's the DHA component of fish oil, so you can start to heal the receptors with high levels of DHA. That's your moods, and that's your happy one. I took 6 tyrosine this morning. I take 5 HTP, my Cataplex B, and my protein shakes. So you got to learn how to bring that brain back to life once those receptors are wore out. That's why they had to get rid of Valium, because once they quit the Valium, they just sat and shook, because the relaxing receptors were spent. Next. Back again, Scientific American is really taught, and this is not the journal you want to argue with. January 2008, fluoride ruins your thyroid and screws up your IQ. And remember, this is for the special patients out there. The active ingredient in Prozac is fluoride, so just remember. And the active ingredient in the nerve gas sarin is fluoride. And the active ingredient in your toothpaste is fluoride. And all your tranquilizers that you take are fluoride. And Flonase is fluoride. And Flovent is fluoride. You listen to Flomax and all the flows. Fluotoxetine. So take a big hunk of toothpaste, and basically that's what the Prozac molecule is built on. Next, I don't know where I'm at. Sarcopenia. You see those older women today that have turned into little sticks? Well, I have a bunch of people around me that have sticks. They're stick bodies. There's nothing left to them. This hanging flesh. The kids, failure to thrive. So we have all these scrawny, we got 2 kinds of people, overweight and the vanishing flesh called sarcopenia. Next. Folks, I'm going to give you a secret. There's only 2 things that are food in this life. It has to be raised or it has to be grown. You cannot make food. It's impossible. Nobody can make food. So all the synthetic crap you're eating isn't food. That's food. Nutrient dense. When you look at the little old lady on the biscuit and the apple and the waffles, there's nothing in it. There's nothing in the food. Can you, I guess I'm backwards for that one thing. All right, I wanted to show you guys. I was told I had to do showing some stuff off with you folks. They wanted to see some interesting things. March 9th, I was supposed to start lecturing to the doctors in March. Now, my life's pretty full right now, so I actually turned them down, and the whole world is watching these videos to learn how to do this testing technique, because really nobody's teaching it anymore. So I brought a couple special things to show you guys today that are going to help the doctors and you patients, and I want all the women, especially, to pay attention. I want you first. You're going to help the women out today, because you're my best example. Yes, come on up here, sweetheart. This gal was in the office on 8/15, and there's some folks that learned some lessons. You know, I'm kind of tough to, as a new patient, you kind of got to wait to see me, and there's kind of a reason you got to wait to see me for a while. There's kind of a big reason for that. So she was seeing somebody else. So then I had to pick her up because she was actually getting nowhere. And there was a very interesting story. I can picture this whole story in my sea of nonsense that I have to do all day. This whole story fell. All you women pay attention to this. This girl, this woman broke my heart. Her husband's out here. She's in room 1. So I got a packed morning. She's in room 1. I've never seen her before. And all it says on her chart is, can you do the next one? This. First appointment with Dr. Tent, I'm packed. Had 3 cortisone shots and a facet joint block in the past 6 months. They want to put a rod and a cage fusion in her back, and they want to recommend painkillers and codeine. So I go pick this file up, set it back down, and go back down the other way. I'm going to go back down this side for a while. And so she's standing there tortured. So I kept running back and forth thinking, man, I got to find time to get in this room because she's a mess. I've never seen her before. So she's in there 30 or 45 minutes, and she's in room 1. So I open the door, and here she stands, holding onto her back like this, and tears running down her eyes. And she's been standing there crying the whole time. I opened the door, and I looked at her. I looked at that. And I looked at her, and her x-rays are sitting up there. I looked at her x-rays, which were perfect. I said, can you get her x-rays on the screen? Kelly couldn't get it. I said, just go on some x-ray site, find perfect lumbars. Perfect. You had to see what these x-rays look like. They're textbook. So here I sit, I look at this, I look at her, I look at the file, I look back at the x-rays and I just throw up the file. This doesn't make any sense. What's the Dr. Tent cardinal rule? If it doesn't make any sense, what did the doctors do to you last? Simple. I looked at this. This makes no sense. I said, how many kids do you have? She said 3. I said, how many epidurals have you had? She said 3. I said, which one was the magic one? She said, number 2. I said, what happened? What happened on your second epidural?
It tingled through my whole body. My feet shook.
Can you come up here?
Oh, I'm sorry. When they did the second epidural, I felt it throughout my whole body. My whole body shaked. I looked down and my feet were shaking.
He punctured her spinal cord with the epidural. I knew he did, because there's no way. And to see Larry, Moe, and Curly trying to put a rod and cage fusion in her back, if I would pay to have her back. No, none of you have a back that looks like hers. It made no sense. I said, young lady, and I'm going to tell you something. You women complained for 100 years. There's no reflex to test for this. I have read about this, and I've done this on post-laminectomy people that are all scarred up, and it works just like this. So I looked at her. Her life was trashed. This is what I put her on. Now you listen to this. Vitamin D and liquid iodine. Did we have it rub some on your back? Mm-hmm. I said, I want you to rub that iodine into your back. You're going to take liquid iodine orally, and I got to keep you on some calcium because I'm going to pull all the calcium out of your spinal cord that's scarring tissue. And how long did it take to eat that scar tissue off your cord?
3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks. But these women talked for years, my back hurts. They told you needed Prozac, you needed to find a man. They told you you're depressed, it's your hormones. And on an autopsy, they found out that 35% of you women had your cords completely scarred by the doctors. You lived in excruciating back pain their whole life, being ignored every step of the way. And in 3.5 weeks, she has started up a brand new life, and I thank her for coming because she's going to find out. And this was hard. You learned to watch for this because it's everywhere. Thank you for going up here. That was perfect. All right. I got a mom with a stack of files this big, sitting in room 2. It's this big. Now remember what I just told you. I just told you the secret. I walk in to look at this 22-year-old kid. Now, this is chicken scratch. I wanted the record. I wanted the chicken scribble scratch record for you to look at. This is it. For 6 months, patient has symptoms of dizziness every day. Now, I treat there's all kinds of dizziness. There's adrenals, there's Meniere's, there's salt, there's all kinds. There's strokes, there's aneurysms, big deal. There's all kinds of stuff. Every day he wakes up with it, and then it comes and goes all day. Now, when I looked at you, nothing made sense, and it took me about 3 seconds to go, man, is she messed up from her spinal cord being scarred? Now, I looked at this and the same thing. Remember, there's a whole different way of thinking. Half of you are sick, and the other half have been screwed up. So once you get that through your head, you'll understand it. But most of you don't understand that yet, but you will. So I looked at this. Symptoms of dizziness, every day wakes up, but it comes and goes. There's a pressure in his head every day. That doesn't fit. I can handle some of this. What do you mean, pressure in his head? Where is it? And he says it's in the entire head. All right. He's got a racing heart. Well, that's interesting. That's like one of those Hashimoto's viruses pushing you. Is easily startled. Now he's got red spots that appear on his neck and arms and shoulders when this happens. He's got numbness in his head, shoulders, arms, and he's got spasms in his right eye. Does this make any sense to you? So he's 22. This doesn't make any sense. And the stack's this big, and he's been to every doctor on the planet from Tennessee up here. Remember, what's the cardinal rule again? If it doesn't make any sense, what'd the doctors do? All right, what'd you do when you started college? Next. They talked to his mom, did not know this. They talked him into a tetanus and diphtheria shot, and he got an influenza shot. I said, young man, there's a virus in your bloodstream attacking your brain that does not belong there. So whatever it took a year and a half down the road, now So he had a second visit. I think he was in last week. My gosh, that pressure's starting to let go I have to sterilize his brain to try to get this junk out of his head. And he's got to have that pressure out of his head. He's starting to turn the corner. And I just looked at him. What would make a 22-year-old kid? I'm 17, I'm at Sears. I split my head open on a file drawer. They take me to the Farmington Industrial Clinic in Farmington Road in Plymouth. I'm living at home, working at Sears. I went there, the Indian walks in with a tray. Time for your tetanus shot. I just looked at him and laughed. I said, you're out of your mind. He said, no, you need tetanus shot. No, you need to speak English. You need tetanus shot. No, you need English course. I said, I'm not getting I'm 17. I'm 17. I ain't getting a tetanus shot. I said, for Pete's sakes, I've done construction. I said, every time we cut ourselves, if we ran for a shot, somebody'd poop in the lunchbox. I said, I cut myself again. I'm going to go, for Pete's sakes. What happened to the men? Bunch of wieners out there. You don't need a shot every time you do something. So the little Indian says, you're going to get lockjaw. I said, I'm going to eat with my mouth open from now on. Done. And he said, okay. He's a pleasant guy. They're pleasant. Off he went with his little tray and his magic potion, swab up the head, and I'm out of here. Don't get pushed around. Who pushes you around and does this stuff to you? For Pete's sakes, it's easy. Try to give my kids, be with my wife when she puts the kids in camp and the nurse says, have your kid had their shots? Lock horns with my wife if you want to have fun. I look at the nurse, if you had your Wheaties today, you're going to need them. Now, out of control fevers, MRSA. On a fever, I had a patient with a high fever in a cancer clinic. And the cancer doctor called me at home. And I told him basic physiology. The MRSA is attacking the kids that have no calcium and magnesium. Real vitamin C, if you ever want to know what real vitamin C is, this is my wife's thing that she likes to take. Real, that's what a vitamin C complex is made from when it's in a food source. Can you show that next one, Kelly? Ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. That's a wrapper. Vitamin alpha tocopherol is not vitamin E. It's the wrapper. That's the whole C. So if you ever wanted to find out, you will never die from an infection until all of vitamin C leaves your body, and you'll never get an out-of-control fever. Can you have that next one, please? Until your calcium, magnesium runs out of your bloodstream. So your kids got 104, 105 degree fevers. Those are growth spurts. They have no calcium. Tics, twitches, or leg aches. I had the nosebleeds and the leg aches. That lost my teeth after my life. So high fevers, when your kid's running 105, it's calcium lactate first. As long as there's calcium and magnesium in the bloodstream, the fever will never get out of control, number one. And if you don't run out of any vitamin C, you can't die from an infection until the last molecule of vitamin C leaves your body. Remember that, because that is how you stay alive with this stuff. I never get a chance to talk about astragalus because I practice in Michigan. I have a symptomatic practice. For you chronically ill people, I take 1 or 2 of those a day with my Vitanox. Astragalus is when you get well, that's the pill you take when you're not sick. If you're a cancer survivor, if you had lots of immune problems, because it's a heat-inducing herb that you take that will rebuild your immune system. That's the pill I take because I've had 3 sick days in 27 years. It's easier to stay working than try to dig out of a hole from being sick. You know, I had to do something for the women. This is for the women, but I watch anemic people come in for 30 years, and all of a sudden, the last 10 years, everybody's on all these drugs for blood counts, Procrit, Epigen. Now they got a 57% increase in clots in the lungs and legs, and then 10% increase in death. And I said, why do they do this? So they had to put a black box warning. And I always felt bad for the chemo patients because if you're trying to get well, I want to make this simple for you women and stuff. Next. Look, I just went snowboarding down the Rockies for 5 days with my children. I did that and that, 3 in 1. My kids did that. I wasn't cold 1 second. I'm a cold dude. Every winter, I build up my blood because I don't want to get tortured through the winter. Next. Did you ever see these people that sigh all day? You yawn and you sigh, and you yawn and you sigh when you're not tired. Yawning, air hunger, frequent sighing. Chewing ice, cold hands and feet, nails that peel, short periods and pale. When I was cold, I was a cold dude my whole life, and Dr. Versendal put me on that and said I was anemic, and I told him my blood's fine. He said there's a million things in your blood, you're anemic. So I warmed up when I followed his suggestions in 2 to 3 weeks for the first time in my life. I've never forgot that. And so every month in the wintertime, I will warm up a little bit, and you women can use an interesting blood overhaul because of the way that you lose blood. Now, this is a preview why you men are losing your minds. I want everybody to pay special attention to this, because if you don't, it's going to cost you. 30 years ago, when I started in practice, I thought everybody was losing their mind from aluminum and mercury, because it was the heavy metal thing, and everybody was in the heavy metals. That's like right now, I could send most of you to the dentist right now, and you're avoiding fish for the mercury, but when he puts it in your mouth and says it's okay, you shrug your shoulders and you moved on, right? See? And then when they put it in your kid, but you can't eat the fish, but it's okay in your kid, everybody went, okay, no, if it's not good for the fish, it's not good for your kid. So today, in another vein, now, of all the men that walk in with no brain, this is no brain. Has nothing to do with aluminum, has nothing to do with magnesium. There is an antacid, Pepsid, Nexium, Prilosec. So if you want to take an antacid, I'm going to watch you starve to death right in front of your family. This is what it's like to have a stomach go. He's absorbed. This is what an Ethiopian looks like. So when you dry up your stomach acids long enough, or gas, constipation, gas, farting, constipation, hair loss. John Wayne, John Wayne, on his autopsy, had 70 pounds of crap in his colon. All these people's stomachs have died. Proteins have putrefied, carbohydrates have fermented. The putrefaction of proteins and the fermentation of carbohydrates is why your stomach aches, because you couldn't digest your food. So the waste acids that were there that shouldn't have been there is what you dried up with your GERD. I expect all you men and all you people, you stick that on your table. This is your carbohydrates. There's your steak, protein, chicken, fish. Eating late at night, I will grab those, one or the other. A bunch of carbohydrates, learn to help your stomach digest your food. All right, Tagamet, Zantac, and Pepsid. You ready? You lose calcium, B12, vitamin A, folic acid, cataplex B, iron, sodium, and zinc. You will die. You cannot block your digestion. So when you watch all these Tagamet commercials, all Grandma Cassie had, remember? And her little thing was Gas-X and Maalox and Mylanta, and she was totally gassed up. She lost her mind. This is the beginning of the end for my dad's mother. A terrible stomach, constantly dried up, and this is a $26 billion a year industry right now. And you're watching an entire generation lose their melon right in front of you. Now, for you guys to get started, because your stomach's dead, two hydrochloric acid with lunch, 2 at dinner, and to get your stomach going, use a stool softener at night. Straight magnesium is a stool softener without calcium. You want a vegetable cultured magnesium to help you go to the bathroom until you fix your stomach, so you won't lose all your vitamins and minerals with a laxative. Go on to the next one. You'll see where my journey is. Before I got on a plane, my blood thinner, magnesium, restless legs, everybody's dehydrated at night. You're all dehydrated. You don't want to fall for the Mirapax commercial because the side effects are completely embarrassing. You've got to watch the Mirapax commercial because it's the most embarrassing commercial you'll ever see. Next. As a 50-year athlete and a snowboarder, and I play hockey with I've been playing hockey with the Northville High School 18-year-old team. I've been hat-tricking these kids on the weekends. Yes, especially you. You got 2 weeks to screw up a ligament. So now, I have to say this to my crowd because my practice drives me completely nuts now. So every athlete that hurts themselves has to take Motrin to come in to see me. I had to take my Motrin until I got here. Why? Because the TV said. As an athlete limping through my injuries, crutching through my things, you got 2 weeks before the capillary bed closes. 2 weeks. You screw up that injury in those 2 weeks, and you're stuck with a floppy joint. You don't hide the injury, especially for the first 2 weeks. You do not, because the little things that start to repair rip, and everything, you're causing a chronic weakness. I'm a 50-year-old athlete since I was born. I have no gimpy parts because you got to let stuff heal properly, slow, and you don't interfere with that healing response, especially in the first 2 weeks. Next. Men, this is special for the men. Now this is the other stuff. If you're a stressed out white guy we're the worst. That is a replacement for Viagra that's not hormonal. Put up the other one, please. The change of life dudes are the simplex M tribulus dudes. Go back to the other one. That's a nitric oxide. That's a blood pressure pill. And with the way Viagra works, it raises nitric oxide levels, which relaxes the body. It relaxes the smooth muscles. That is how Viagra works. There's your alternative if your hormones are fine, but you're stressed out. That works the exact same way. Next. With my children, hoping, to go to school and move out of the house, I look back now, this EPA, the FDA, and all these organizations. What happened with I had my kids play with heavy metals for toys. I got my dog a little arsenic chewy thing from China. I watched this stuff on TV. Wait a minute, what about this Environmental Protection Agency? What about this FDA? What are these guys doing up there? Are they on the text phone with Kwame and the boys? They're all going somewhere. Nobody's watching nobody's watching anything. So, folks, if you don't realize, I have no health insurance. I haven't had it for 25 years. I've raised my kids without it. Since on vacation, now the kids on Singular want to shoot themselves. Avandia cause heart attacks. It's every day I sit and read. Now, my taxes buys these drugs through Medicare, and I got to pay for this. I'm being completely hammered with these premiums that I want nothing to do with. I'm completely embarrassed about I went through the house, and I wanted to de-China the house. If it's from China, I want it gone. I got little mercury things and little lead things, and I'm reading the labels, and I just start reading. I just laugh at it. The little mercury candle holder we had, wasn't that nice? You're going to have to put this stuff in some kind of toxic dump. So we've done a hair analysis on ourselves to make sure that we have not overdone the aluminum, the mercury, the lead, etc. I want to know what I got to get out of my head so I can still find my head. Next. They said that there's so many drugs in the drinking water. This is fun. If you want to not be concerned, if you move to northern New Jersey, they have the highest rate of antidepressants in the water of any place. So they said you'll be thoroughly poisoned, but you won't care a darn about it anyway. The first person that came up with this was a 12th grader in a science project. I covered this 8 years ago. Lady had a science project in 12th grade, walked behind the house, scooped the water out of the creek, and sent it to a lab. By the time she was done, she had it took a 12th grade girl. Now, my kids in Northville School, do you know, they have a very intensive curriculum. They have ceramics, we have badminton, We have seminar, which is an hour-and-a-half study hall. We have gym. We watch Aladdin. Huh? Medals. We make little rings and stuff. What'd you watch? He watched Bambi today. Okay? I look at these. This is what I sit and watch. What's coming down the pike and how we've educated the generation to pay my Social Security. I say, just one of their friends was bragging. He's in his 4th year of ceramics. And I went, woo, ceramics. I said, you can help autistic kids make ashtrays in a little home someday. Lord, have mercy on our souls. Next. Before the summer starts, before you women completely drive me nuts, can I say something before you come in and say this? Dr. Tent, do I look puffy? Do I look puffy? Do you think I look puffy? Am I holding water? Do you think I'm holding water? Well, do you use salt? No. So the next one comes in. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think I'm puffy? Do you think I'm puffy? Do you use salt? No. Well, maybe that's why you're puffy. So next thing, so all summer, well, I didn't think you're supposed to use salt. Well, who told you that? That's salt. So I'm going to have 100 women that are going to play the puffy game because nobody uses salt, and you're going to hold water when you don't use salt, so you better get used to it because that's the way it is. Use your salt. Next. I think yours is just about, yes. The Mediterranean pyramid's nothing that you've ever seen. It's a high-fat, high-protein diet, and they outlive us smoking and drinking and killed us, but next. You, stand up. It's his fault. It's all your fault. This is Guy. I'm going to go ahead and sit. You can sit, but I want you to know who this is. I treat, the church goes there. They have a place, a gym. We had 100-some kids went there. So go out. You can rent this for parties, birthdays. I treat a lot of the kids from there over time, just through the grapevine. I didn't go over there and try to talk these kids in. I don't ever do that. So we've been working together, and he sent me a patient the day before my vacation. It was a Friday. I told him this story. So I said, I'm going to tell your story if you'd like to come and get your kids in this stuff because they're getting heavy. So he's sitting there. This lady looked at me, and she said, it was a Friday, last day before my vacation, about 10 o'clock, and she said, I hear you do a lot of the athletes and a lot of the gymnasts from this gym. Everybody says you're a great guy, you do some good stuff, you've been fixing all the kids. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. And she looked at me and she said, she shouldn't have said this. She made a mistake. She said, wow, why do all those kids get hurt so much? What do you think you could tell Guy so his training would be different so these kids wouldn't get hurt all the time? I looked at her. I looked at this girl. It's his, see what we're like? You miserable trainer. And so I looked at this lady, and this was the wrong day. This is the day before my vacation. I looked at her. I looked at this kid. I looked at her. I said, do you take Claritin? She said, yeah. I said, you take Singular? Yeah. Have you had all your shots? Yeah. Have you had fluoride treatments? Yeah. I said, do you live in the city and get lots of chlorine? Yeah. I went right down the list of everything that everybody's done. I said, have you ever had a mineral in your life? No. Have you ever had a vitamin in your life? No. Have you ever had any essential fats in your life? No. Protein? No. So let me get this straight. Your life's been full of fluoride, chemicals, Singular, lawn sprays, estrogen, the kid's trying to grow, no vitamins, no minerals, living on pop and junk food, and you think it's his fault that your kids are falling apart? And she just looked at me, and I was pretty strongly telling, look, I'm going to give you a secret. When you go to the doctor and you're pregnant and you want to have a kid, and he gives you this little prescription bottle, ask him, well, what's in it? Well, 13 things. Wait a minute. I read a science book. A mealworm takes more than 13 things. You can't grow a mealworm with 13 things. What makes you think? So to tell this lady, if you want to try to live today, it takes 60 minerals. That's the minerals. You're made from the dust. You weren't made from the monkey. You were made from the dust. The essential amino acids, there's 12 essential amino acids. Next. There's 16 vitamins and there's 3 essential fats. It takes 91 things that we all get to make your machine run. That's what it takes to thrive and to watch a whole generation of kids trying to grow and exercising on the food that we're getting. They're spent. They're never going to be working with this at my age because they're not going to last. We're on our second, our children are run out of minerals to such an extent their parents are almost sterile. So all this sterility, infertility thing, don't go to China and buy a kid. Ask your doctor, what the heck did you do to me? I can't even reproduce. I live by Northville Downs. If those horses couldn't have kids, they'd shoot the vet. They wouldn't send them on a trip. Duh. So I sit and look at congressmen and senators, and I just, hello, are you paying? I said to John Pastor, you give these guys more of the ball. If you think we're in a ringer right now, you let them run the whole show when they give us national health care or whatever's next. You can't trust these people. So this is basically what it takes. And is that if you want to reproduce a perfect child, you take the 91 things, you give your husband the 91 things, you keep doing it, you breastfeed the kid, you have 2 kids like mine, and their friends still are shocked at, you guys have never seen a pediatrician? Are you kidding? That's what they did to me. I went through it the first time. Okay, I promised I'd let you, Deborah, come on up here. I'm going to let you get it off your chest. Get it off your chest. Come on up here. Come on, not that kind of chest. This gal has been a very, to listen to this pathetic story is because I've done 10,000 of these. To watch what they do with a simple chest cold. I know she always makes me feel bad because she thinks I saved her life. She had a chest cold. I fixed 10,000 asthmatics with a chest cold. And the stuff they put these people through, if you live in Taylor, you have a chest cold. If you got insurance, you need an albuterol. You need a nebulizer. So she's overwhelmed at some simple results. I keep telling her, you just had a chest cold. You saved my life. You had a chest cold. They misplay simple infections. I tried to get this kid here today. While you're composing yourself, go to this other one right here. You had to see this kid. This kid comes in here. I tried to get this family here, and their voicemail was full. Something weird's going on. I couldn't get to the family. I don't know if they're in trouble or something, but a month ago, this kid's sitting here. I know this family. It was the most ridiculous asthmatic kid. The kid was born 7 weeks premature. I walked into this room, and this kid is looking at me with a look in his eye I have never seen in anybody. He looked at me, I walked in, and this is what he takes. He's 13. His head is this big from the steroids. His body is totally distorted. I walked out of the room and went, holy crap. I'm probably glad he's not here because I could say what I wouldn't have said in front of him, but if you took one look at him, who the heck got a hold of him? His dad, I used to play baseball with. His dad looked at me and said, we've been in every emergency room on every vacation that we've ever been on in our life. And he said it with a lilt, and not even angst in his voice. I looked at him. He was very proud. They're proud of disease for some reason. People there's an odd thing that goes on here. I don't get it anymore. So this kid looked at me and said, look, and I'm done. He was born 7, he didn't even know what it's like to breathe. This kid had a look in his eye I have never seen. I said, are you done? He said, I'm done. Not even knowing what the other side was, I want to show you what I put him on. He was born premature, so I had to put him on raw lung. He ate a bunch of fruit. I canned all the fruit. I said, you're not eating any more fruit. You're done. I put him on lysine to stop those viral food triggers, the BioCTS and the Cerida Plus. This kid walked in 2 weeks later, coughed everything up, quit every medication, didn't call me one time, yacked up, barfed up 6 buckets, and walked in cured in 2 weeks. And I looked at this kid. I was giving this kid $100 to come tonight. He does not know this. He stole his entire life. What this kid did, determined. He was the most determined kid I have seen. Forget the adults. Not one of you could have done what he just did. In 2 weeks, he had himself done and cured. And to see this constantly, now she goes in from lungs that don't work, and she was in a couple weeks ago, and she said, I'm blowing 100% on my lung.
Where's my $100?
Where's your $100? I didn't give you $100. Can I tell you something, since nobody knows who this is? Your check didn't bounce.
It did not.
No, I said yours didn't. Yours didn't, theirs did. So I said, I had to help this family out. I hope they never see this. Now, honest to God, I hope they never see this. Go for it. What's it like to have a dry cough? How many dry coughs can you see? I can come back from lunch, I have 4 or 5 new patients, and 3 of them have a dry cough. You know what it's like? How many dry coughs can be told just because the antibiotics don't work, you have a lifelong disease? I'm waiting.
What do you want me to say?
Whatever happened, because you always said, you saved my life, and you don't think much about it, and you don't realize what you did, and she comes in, we had this game, it's like back and forth. I said, look, you had a lousy chest cold. No, you don't get it. What I went through, you had a chest cold.
No, I didn't have a lousy chest cold. I had pneumonia, and I couldn't breathe. And I was, what's the numbers? I don't know what the numbers are. 95?
Oxygen levels.
Oxygen levels. And I had so much mucus, and Dr. Tent put me on that Cyruta and everything, and I coughed buckets up terribly. I was in the hospital. I got the 5-year pneumonia shot, and I got the flu shot, and I got sicker. And then I had pneumonia 3 more times and went to ER, and enough was enough. So on Valentine's Day last year, I went to see Dr. Tent. And meanwhile, I still take some, puffers?
Inhalers.
Inhale a couple of them. I'm off all the Advairs and Singulars, but the doctor can't believe it. I don't have any symptoms of asthma, even though I have to retrain my lungs, what we're working on. I'm at 100 with the oxygen, which is better than healthy people. There's no wheezing and there's no mucus for the past 6 months, and the doctors can't figure it out. So,
but they never call. 27, not one person has ever said, you know, what? I know you're puzzled about this, and you know, and she says, at the first rattle, at the first tickle, I want to do 15 Cerulita plus that quickly. Now look, by the time the pediatrician got through with the allergy shots and the vaccinations, my immune system shot. I took 10 Congoplex and 10 Cerulita plus. I've been coughing and clearing my throat all day to get all this junk out so that I could come up here and talk real clear. I use the same thing you guys do, and I'm very proactive on my chest. I attack it first so that I can talk. But this is what it's like to see. Now remember, this starts out kind of simple. You get a cough and you get a chest cold, then you go and take an antibiotic. Doesn't work, you go in, now it's a little bit worse, and it's a stair step that you go on until it takes over your whole lungs. And pretty soon, my God, you're in full-blown pneumonia, and it's that rattly, wheezy stuff that you can't cough up. Now, go back to her first exactly. Now look at what she said. I want you to pay attention. Chocolate can trigger an attack. Now somebody's going to say, now how many people chocolate gives them a headache? Raise your hands. The people that know chocolate. The viral carriers will raise their hands. Everybody that knows that, go back to that list. My wife will have a virus bother her liver. She has a list of pills. Almonds, if she eats too many almonds, my wife will get a headache. Kelly has things on this list that will bother her Epstein-Barr. I don't understand viral patients, but look, when she says chocolate can trigger an attack. Now look, this is the secret stuff to her. You have to keep up. After she coughed all this stuff up, her lungs were tight. And she's walking in with her, my God, my lungs are tight. Remember, she had a coronary artery spasm from overdoing the inhaler. I had to play it as night as angina. All these asthmatics go so hard. So she walked in, I said, now your heart's in a complete lockdown. You have a coronary spasm. Then I had to treat her for angina just to get the heart to relax because they misread this. And this starts to make you think more of this, and the more of this, the tighter it gets. So there's a double-edged sword that the asthmatics will stair-step themselves into. So I had to stop in the middle, get her heart to relax, because her heart was in a complete knot. And that was the second part that surprised you. My God, I can't breathe. My lungs are tight. No, it isn't. That's a heart cramp. And have her take E2 and have it stop in how long?
Minutes.
Minutes. So you having the right person to go through this, she had to walk the road to get this, but she's done, fixed, and over. Thank you for coming up here. Your phone, $100 check will be in the Sure.
I just as a side note, what was really distressing when I was having that heart pain is my 43-year-old friend died of an asthma attack.
This doesn't help me.
And no, but this was just in the transition. So Dr. Tent really saved my life because she had the same exact thing and she's dead. So I'm here.
Now I'll take that one's cool. That's true. That's true. Next, the vitamin D thing. What's that? Come on up here. You're getting pointed at from behind. You know, the funny thing about you is how you look at me. The first time her daughter comes in, people come in today. The shame about chiropractic is it's broken down to like car accidents and falling down the steps. So Mom, you know, back pain has nothing to do with chiropractic. It never really has. I'm sorry to say. And this is probably a good case to watch this poor girl come in with the headache. I don't know what it's like to live from 7 till I'm 15 with a headache every day. I haven't had 5 headaches in my life. What is it like as a kid when you're supposed to be a kid and I don't know what it's like to live. My nose, I had allergies that didn't bother me because I'm a kid. I don't even know what that's like because I thought everybody's nose ran constantly. What's it like living with a headache every day?
It's kind of normal to me.
We have become accepting of a headache. How many people, if I tell my wife, look at her, doesn't she look beautiful? If you sat and listened to these people, just listen. Any restaurant, listen to how people feel. You wouldn't believe it. I sit in restaurants, I don't have to take a paper sometimes. If there's a big table next to me, they're comparing their lesions. They got their MRI results back. They're all inconclusive. Now he's on Lipitor because the Crestor made him sick. His GERD bothered him, so they're going to scope his stomach. And they got to do that colonoscopy again because the last one they hit something, and now once the bleeding stops, they'll finish it. You said, this is the whole, I don't even go out places because this is, here it starts. It's going to start. So this girl comes in, and I look at this family. I said, for Pete's sakes, your neck's dislocated. Ma looks at me like I'm completely nuts. I gave this kid a kamikaze adjustment. I put her neck back in place, and her headache stopped. But to have your brain stem crimped at the back of your head forever, and Ma looks at me like I walked in from a different planet. No, her neck was dislocated, and now it's not. And it's a simple thing. The simplest stuff, folks, is the complicated stuff. What has boggled people's mind, you know how many Tourette's and tics and twitches? I put them on calcium and magnesium and it stopped. It's a growth spurt on a kid. I've never seen a growth spurt before. Thank you. Were you embarrassed to come up here? No. You did a good job. Is she here? Is my electrocuted patient here? I had a person that was electrocuted and croaked in a swimming pool. She's supposed to be here. I've only seen her twice. It was a very cool story. Electrocuted in a swimming pool, light shorted out, and she croaked, went down to the bottom. Now she's sick. All right, who's got somebody's not a patient. Does anybody think they have a bad heart? Who's a bad heart? That's not a patient. You can't be a patient. You have a irregular heartbeat? Well, there's a million of those. I can see yours from here. Come here. I can see yours from here. So this is what I want somebody who thinks they have a bad heart. So now this is what she came in and said. All right, come on up here. Put your hands together, arms out straight. Hold tight, hold tight. Hold. Who doesn't think they have a bad heart? You're a diabetic. You're going the other way. Dad, I want you to talk to him. Come over here. I got you doing the chromium. I'm going to cover that. Come on up here. Put your hands together. Arms out straight, like that. Hold tight. I'm not really hold tight. Good. Now, wait a minute. I haven't tested you. You get over there. I want your wife up here. She's going to be better. I've done more testing with you, haven't I? Yeah, I'm doing all sugar stuff with him. Put your hands together, arms out straight. Look, you can't have it all. You got to have a decent heart because they screwed up your back. Now come over here. I want to make sure you're testing okay. You back up to her. The other way, just like this. I'm not sure you're testing this. Put your hands together, arms out straight, hold tight. Hold tight. Okay, thank you. You can sit down now. This is real. Now, this is, I won't say who, but the highest paid Red Wing walked in my office a few years ago and said, do that testing. The first thing I did was this. Put your hands together, put your arms out straight. Just like this. Arms out straight, hold tight. It's not too bad, it's in between. Now watch. This is the right side of the heart. Put your hands out straight. Okay, this is the left side of the heart. Put your hands out straight. That's the one I thought it was. Now you just drew me for a curve. Then I'm going to shut this virus reflex off under the belly button, the shortness of breath at rest, the heart virus patients, arms out straight. All right, just you're making me find this. Hold tight, arms out straight. Hold tight. Now, do you like your sweets?
Oh, yeah.
Watch. Your tongue is your B vitamin reflex. Shut this off, hold tight. Now hold tight. Now, I want you to understand something. If I had you people, I said I was going to do this one time in a crowd, but you got to touch the strange person next to you. If you sit in a room full of people today, all you got to do, any age group, I want you to feel the pulse of 10 people. I never put you two together. I never put you two together. You two, I had to fix your heart because you thought you were going to die. I had to, did you get all the blockages out of your heart? Yeah. You didn't trust me, did you? I got it, didn't I? You take 100 of these people, and I want you to feel the pulse. They flop, they are weak, and they're irregular. They're floppy, they're weak, and they're irregular. Everybody's lost their B vitamins. So all the pacemaker men, this is a pacemaker person as the heart flops and slows down. All the people, low blood pressure, sugar junkies, which I am, carbohydrate addicts, the fearful, cataplex, frontal cortex, scared. These are my scared, worried people. The sugar is killing us and the carbohydrates. So right now, her heart's losing tone because it has no B vitamins. That lady flunked this test. I shut off her heart muscle. It shut off. I put her on 3 raw heart a day. She said, why are you putting me on this? You had a heart attack when your heart was electrocuted. The B was to rewire the plugs. But watch the carbohydrate people. They're scared, they're afraid, and their heart flops because they're losing tone. This is the low pulse, everything's slowing down, right? Did you take any medications? Now that, cataplex, you need a vegetable cultured B vitamin, and your total irregular, your heart will come back to life. It will stop the flop, and your pulse will start to come up. But this is the epidemic of the future pacemakers and the carbohydrate addicts. Thank you for this. So your heart's not weak, it's losing its tone. Now this gal, to have her have to eat 3 pieces of raw heart for an electrocuted heart. I got some families out in the crowd right now that had a kid that had a dog that had kidney failure. I had 3 of these patients lately. They said, Dr. Tent, I hate to bother you, but my dog's kidneys are failing. What should I do? Well, go to the butcher, get some kidney, and feed them a kidney. So I had 3 patients feed their animals kidney, for the animals' kidneys were failing, and all 3 of the kidneys grew back, feeding them kidney. They said, why'd you give my dog kidney? Because it's his kidney, not his heart. The front page of a Canadian paper, 93% of the Asians had no D. 85% of the Chinese had no D. Next. 34% of the Europeans and 100% of the African Americans. Vitamin D is hidden health stuff that, give me a list of the diseases. Telling you guys to stay out of the sun for 40, 50 years, so the sunscreen industry, all those diseases can be caused by no D. Every single one, just no sun. Boy, get out in the sun. Next. If you don't want to look like Britney Spears, and you don't want to act like all the actors, the carbohydrate addicts, if I don't do my protein shakes, done. Every single morning, I'm standing by the sink, taking a Monster protein shake before I even think about coming. I cannot skip. Next. Ready? I would tell you right now that 60% of this crowd's going diabetic. 60% of the crowd. This is an epidemic. They told you to eat no fat and eat carbs for 30 years, and you did just like you were told. So we're fat, bloated, our triglycerides are a mess, we got fatty livers, and I'm gonna tell you something. When I started in practice in 81, you could make all these colossal mistakes, and there's 100 people standing around waiting to wipe your nose. It's over. Nobody gives a crap that you're sick, your insurance companies are gone, and the country could care less. So right now, if you don't take advantage of your health and start to attack this, you're done. You will never be able to afford what's coming down the pike. Just, you want to know what it's like today in doctoring? Do you really want to know what it's like? Sue, I told you about this. Watch this. This is live. You. Yes, you. Come up here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. No, not you. Put the blue right there. Yes. Just stand up right there. You can stand up right there. She was in last week, okay? I was snowboarding out in the Rockies with my kids. So she's transitioning her life from working for the school system to coming and see me. What day were you in? Tuesday? She was in Tuesday afternoon. Listen to this. I don't know if they think how ignorant you folks really are. If you get a teacher in, I tell the teachers, be careful because of your insurance coverage because they're going to get you. Mesa is, you take one look, they salivate like dogs. They'd put the cage infusion. They wouldn't even give you a second chance. They'd have held you on the table to do it. So she goes in with a dry cough. And one of the young interns, the resident, an intern? Oh, you haven't been in there for a while. Oh, geez, she had not, how long has it been since you were there? Year and a half. Okay, first time she's been sick. She's a sugar diabetic or a sugar type person. You ready? You're not going to believe this. So they were happy to see her. So the intern took her around the office and said, "This is Martha. She has Mesa. She was introduced by her insurance card to the office. This is Martha. She has Mesa. This is Martha. She has." Oh, hello. This is Martha. She has New York Life. This is Martha. Can you imagine being introduced through the doctor's office like that? She told me that, and I said, how come you guys don't do that? You got to start doing that. My retirement fund. Now look, I eat too many sweets. I can stay away from sugar. Atypical depression. I got to take my chromium. Learn to use high-dose chromium for you folks to get ahead of where you're going to go with this carbohydrate load. Atypical depression is the Americans that only eat, they're only happy when they're eating. Stop them from eating, that's it. The number one cause of high blood pressure, future diabetics, type 2, syndrome X, metabolic syndrome. This is all the same thing. Next. Learn how to eat. You got to start to eat real foods because the bagels, waffles, pancakes are killing you. You're getting fat off it. You got to use low glycemic foods. Look on that website and look for low glycemic. Next. Chromium works best with niacin. Combine those pills for the best. Only eat when happy, overweight, increased appetite. The bloated people, the people that can't get in shape. Next. That works well together. Next with the 5-HTP. Right? Every kid that comes in on bagels, cereals, and waffles, and they can't think in school, I make the mom read this. This is what the whole world's like, and bagels and waffles, and they're scared to death. They worry. They can't. How many people can't sleep through the night? All you hypoglycemics. That's a whole bunch of them. Short attention span. Thank God for that, because if you could read the paper, you'd probably be disturbed. Dizziness, crying spells. If you wonder where we're at, the longest running show on TV is The Simpsons. That's why I looked at the center. Now, Dad, where do we got to go tomorrow? And I'll be fired up for this. Where are we going tomorrow? The Lincoln Reagan dinner. I'm going to insult a whole nother bunch of Republicans at the Lincoln Reagan dinner tomorrow at Laurel Park. So watch what I do. My dad's like, you don't want to say this stuff here. I said, yeah, I do. He said, no, you don't. I said, yeah, I do. I said, look, these aren't my patients. These are the Lipitor, bypass, the Nexium crowd. You can take all these guys that have ruined the world, and the Republicans and Democrats have made a mess of everything. We can share this. The Bush and Clintons, there's a lot of it to go around. So I'll be fired up tomorrow at the Lincoln Reagan dinner. I'll have a protein shake, or I might wig out at one of them. Next. The UK says if you don't, fluoride will kill your thyroid and lower your IQ. That's all right. We don't got much to work with left anyway. Next. Now, learn to use iodine. You guys do not know how to. This Dr. Brownstein's the king of iodine. He's a local doctor. He's great. This is out of his stuff. I'm going to whip through this so you can watch this. Thyroid hormone, every cell in the body. There's the most common misdiagnosis today. I have a perfect thyroid panel. I take a pharmaceutical grade dose of iodine, and I'll show you what I take, 1 in the morning. I have never been more awake in the morning in my life by waking up my thyroid. Do I have a bad thyroid, or was it put to sleep? I remember the fluoride treatments that ran down my throat. Fluoride, bromine, and chlorine will take the place of iodine. Next. A nice little history of thyroid. All kinds of things. Next. Some things that you guys can readily see. Thick tongue is kind of fun. Dry skin, the goiters. Sluggish reflexes. Slow, tired people. My God, do we got slow, tired people. Driving could give me a stroke today. Next. The basal temperature, that's what it's supposed to be. Shake it down, take it under your arm. One of the tools to checking thyroid, not the only tool. Normal temperature under your arms, 97.8 to 98.2. Next. Everybody's scared to death of, now there is the official literature, Brownstein's the guy, 12.5 to 50 milligrams a day. Don't let them tell you anything else. There's your dose right there. I take 12.5 mil, that's the basement dose. I take one of those a day and I'm wide awake. I feel so much better, but I had to treat my thyroid with a perfect thyroid panel, which most people are afraid to do. Next. It's a worldwide problem. Number 1 cause of low IQ in the world, iodine. Number 1. Mental impairment, reduced intellectual ability, goiter, infertility. Where you find no iodine, you find breast, prostate, endometrial, and ovarian cancers. You have to have iodine. The number 1 preventable cause of retardation, iodine. So I'm sitting at that Lincoln dinner with that red and wing wife talking to me. I got to go back. I got to say this. Because I said, look, I wanted to get after this vaccine thing, and I didn't have a chance to talk about this. Oh, I like all this vaccine stuff. And she talked about all these little fundraisers she was doing, and I looked at her. I said, do you know the number 1 cause of, now watch this. You know the number 1 cause of retardation? Of just screwed up, what's the number 1 cause of screwed up brains? Number 1. What do you think it is? I asked her at that dinner, what do you think is the most, I said, tell me if you've ever heard of one of these. We always got exotic diseases, names. What's the number 1 cause of screwed up children? Booze. Alcohol's first. Everything else is under that. Have you ever heard anybody say this is an alcohol kid? You ever hear that? How rarely compared to it's like, unless you go to Detroit, you ain't going to hear that. The number one cause of messed up brains is booze in children. The mother drank more than anything. I've like never heard that diagnosis. Well, this is a fetal alcohol syndrome kid. Watch the adopted children. The adopted kids look like this because they didn't come from the strongest families a lot of times. 1/3 of the world lives in an iodine deficient area. 72% next. All the kids had ADD where there was no iodine and no ADD where there was. The IQ was 10 points different in iodine areas. Your kids got to have iodine. It makes them sharp and bright. Next. Goiter, that's how the whole thing started. Next. How many people remember Lugel's solution? The old timers? You go back and remember when the farmers took 2 drops of Lugel's solution every single morning. It was half iodine and half iodide. It takes 2 different things to run your body, iodine and iodide. Lugel's solution, all the farmers took, everybody was thin and they worked all day. The most used medical item in the world before patent medicine was Lugel's solution. That was iodine. Try to find Lugel's solution in a drugstore now. Where do you find iodine? Just like that. Next. Every cell in the body contains iodine. Concentrated in the glandular system. Thyroid has 50 milligrams. People really keep going. Don't let yourself get hung up on a woman's guy's thing. Got iodine levels. Next. As iodine levels have dropped, a number of cancers have skyrocketed. Now, I like my one iodine pill. This is what you'd take if Chernobyl exploded to plug these receptors so the strontium wouldn't get you. All right, next. Brownstein's clinic found 94.7% of patients had low iodine levels, and that's in West Bloomfield. 94%. You ask my staff what it's like to wake yourself up with iodine. Holy Toledo, it's wonderful. Next. How am I doing? Oh, the 91 things. All right. I promised these guys I would do this, and I have a few minutes to do this. I have this knee person. Elise, is this your friend? Huh? All right, I want a knee. Come on up here with a knee. Tell them what's wrong with your knee. It just says bad knee for years.
Yeah, surgery on both knees, so they just crack and pop. I can lean over and they just crack and pop on me all day right there.
Why would you have surgery on both knees?
Because the doctor told me to.
How old are you?
39.
What did you do? So computer programming tore your knees up, eh?
Well, no, doing martial arts and stuff.
Martial arts. Do you like pop? Do you like pop? Are you a pop drinker?
No pop.
All right. All right. Let's find out why you lost both of your knees. Now, did you work them hard enough to do it? I mean, you could have done it hard enough to tear them up, or didn't you?
I did plyometrics and, lots of plyometrics, sprints, running up bleachers, running up mountains, crazy stuff.
And you blew out both of your knees. Do they feel better after the surgery?
No.
Now, just sit and listen to this. Go ahead.
What kind of surgery was it?
A lateral release on both sides, and then they took scraped cartilage out.
They took 1,000 people that needed knee surgery, arthroscopic. I have a journal in my office. Took 1,000 people, put them all out, punched a hole in all of them, operated on half, didn't operate on the other half, didn't tell anybody who they did all the rehab exactly the same. Went back 1 year and asked them all right, what's the deal? It was a complete, total, unanimous. Everybody that had knee surgery was upset, and everybody that didn't have it was happy. is considered a complete, unequivocal fraud. It's like all you people come in with all your MRIs and you got all this crap done and all the scans, and I sit and look at this. There's one problem with all your MRIs. Well, I got that journal on my desk on Bruce West stuff. They took 100 people. Have you ever had neck or back pain? Ever, never, ever, never, ever. You have to sign an affidavit. Your back never hurt, ever. Right? They ran through an MRI tube, sent all the MRIs to the surgeons and said, what do you think? They wanted to operate on 53% of them. So, now there's no way, I don't give a crap what he does, because I'm 50, I will get picked first with my kids and doing a lot of sports, and there's no way he should lose both of his knees at this age. There's just no way. I'm not buying that. So I'd take a nice fellow like him, put your arm out, hold tight. One, I want to see just how strong you are. Looks like he looks like one of the crazy white boys. What do I mean? You know, he looks like a nice. We got crazy white people keep everybody from messing with us. He looks like one of those strong, happy white guys that's going to try to kill you. You're not a coffee drinker? Now, for the doctors, if I walked in, I don't care who the pros were, in this I'd do it exactly the same. Now watch. Torn ligament, he tests real good. Torn ligament, torn ligament. So, there's my ligament reflex. So I'm going to spin him around this way, hold point at his nose, hold tight. Hold tight. That's the mineral I did on your daughter when you said to her on Mother's Day, what the heck, I never saw your hair glow like that. Here's his sinus. You test real good for him. You're strong and you test perfect. Don't fight me just like you're doing. Now look, right there. Dry mouth, dry lips, dry hair, dry skin, constipated, nervous, and these people, you ever slept with somebody that twitched at night? Who twitches in bed at night? Now, I'll bet you I could walk through the crowd, just like the margarine dude, and point out the twitchers. It's her with the blue shirt, right? I know you, Nicole, right? Behind. Does she do that? No, right next to you. The one, not the gal behind you, the one your arms around. Yes. Does he do that or you do that? You do that? Are you taking your pills? No. You're my patient, aren't you? You need to come to the memory lecture. I'm concerned right now. Do you do that? You ever catch yourself twitching in bed at night? Now, okay, one, and I know you do. Whether he's asleep or not, what am I going to look for? I can spot all the people that do that. Or just got to look at your hair. I'm looking for all the people with the fine hair. All the people with fine hair twitch in bed at night, right? You got fine. My wife, when we went to my class reunion, this is what somebody that has this tendency. Are you a thirsty person? Huh? Now, now you listen. He's so dehydrated and lost so many minerals that his joints are crumbling. So right now, if me and my wife went to Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes, she has the fine hair, the dehydrated, thirsty person. If we went to sleep, that's a long walk to Lake Michigan and back. You do that crap in the summertime, you're going to want somebody to come pick you up and carry you the rest of the way. Walking in the sand is not something I like to do. That is schlepping. So by the time we get back there, she would drink 3 to 4 bottles of water to my 1. That's what these people are like. My wife, I look at her size, and she can outdrink fluids anytime, because she looks at me, 1's fine, I'm fine. Dry mouth, dry hair, these are my thirsty, constipated people. People bring me their kids in, the kids can't poop, he's dehydrated. No, he drinks all the time. He's dehydrated. No, he drinks all the time. That's why he's dehydrated, because minerals hold water. You lost all your calcium and all your minerals. So this is your calcium. The strength coach approached, now you watch this with your kids. This. Now this dude, as strong as an ox, nothing. He's lost every muscle in his body from no minerals and no calcium. I need a trace minerals and the calcium. This is no. Now watch this. He's blown out 2 reflexes. Now, believe it or not, not his ligaments. The ligaments are perfectly happy. He has no calcium. Now, I want you to watch something. Every muscle, I'm sure this dude's one of the strongest dudes you're going to see. Now, this is what I've done with the pros, just like this. This is perfect. Lay on your back. Watch. He's dying from no calcium and no minerals, right? You see how weak is it? Now watch this. I have done this to the Hulk. You give me the strongest dude with this deficiency, and I'll have a field day with it. Watch. I've done this in front of all the pros, just like this. Hold tight. Hold tight. And I picture Schwarzenegger in front of me. Every single muscle on somebody as drained as him, I can do this too. Straighten your arm. Hold tight. Hold tight. He won't have a muscle in his body. And do you lift weights? Too old for that crap. Stand up for a second.
What's that?
Come on and stand up. Put both arms out. Hold tight. Okay. Hold your calcium and your minerals. Hold tight. Hold tight. Now, I could take, and when you walk in like that, and I don't have to override your, give me that. Put your arms out. Every muscle in his body is gone. Because he's a pot. Now hold this. Watch. Hold tight. Just give me one arm. Put this arm down. Hold tight. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold tight. 5, 4, 5. 4 Calma Plus until you can hold your arms up without the bottle. And your mineral reflux, that's my thirsty people, my dehydrated spot. So you could take this dude, 6 trace mineral B12s and 4 Calma Plus and heal up his knees. Because he ran out of minerals and calcium. That's why they took your knees apart, for something to do. And so write down what you need.
Thank you.
Good, Kevin. All right, I got time. I didn't expect, I expected to adjust a knee. I didn't expect that. That was just, the girl said I had to test somebody to keep him happy. What?
If he takes that, then he'll repair his problem?
Are you kidding? You got scar tissue in your knees. They crapped up both your knees. They'll never be the same again. Next question. Okay. But you see, I always see everybody after this is done. I just caught you before the rod and cage fusion and the parents. I want to sit in the room with you at those x-rays, what they're looking at. I cannot imagine what they were hallucinating at on your x-rays. I couldn't find it. I would love to just sit, what are you looking at here? Show me where you're going to screw all this crap in. 6 different physicians. If I could have got her lousy x-rays and that's over, you had to see this back. It's textbook. I don't see them that good ever. All right. What, Bell's palsy for 4 years? Janelle, come on up here. And where's that lady out there? I saw this one lady. She was crying in the office the other day. Same thing she had in her head. Come on up here. What you have in your lungs, she had in her face. What you had in your lungs, she's got in her face. What's yours in your lungs is your face is my wife's migraines. So it's in my wife's migraines, which were viral migraines, and you had viral pneumonia, and she's got a virus in her trigeminal nerve. Then the women got those dysplastic cervixes because the virus is in their cervix. And the shingles people got it. I had an anesthesiologist following me around from Garden City. I said, what do you think of my day? He goes, my God, you treat a lot of viruses. I said, that was my whole morning with him. How did this start with you?
Just woke up one morning.
Okay, and everybody can. This is the older crowd. They don't hear as well as they used to. Come on over here.
Just woke up one morning and I felt funny, and by the time I got to work, it was like am I having a stroke?
All right, come on over here. Put this arm out, hold tight. I got through with those slides pretty quick. You guys are lucky I can do a few of these. Hold tight. Hold it up. That last guy tested real good. Hold tight. For a big guy, he tested perfect. Hold both arms out. Hold tight. Yeah. Come on up here, sweetheart. You're going to have to help me today. Yes. You just got to stand and hold out your arm. Simple stuff. Come on up here. She's fired from testing. Now, you see this? Watch. This is what makes it hard in front of a crowd. If I go live into the crowd, I don't know what I'm going to get. Now, right now, I need an arm like that guy gave me. What's wrong? Do you have any arthritis issues? What's going on with your joints?
I get backaches.
You got a healthy spine? Or are you healthy? Are you fine?
Okay.
All right. Well, hold tight. The point is, let me have you on your back and check your legs, please. I want to tell you your legs are stronger than your arms. I'm not going to do anything. How did I run out of time early, Kelly? These guys are hold tight, hold tight. Good. Now, the question you want to ask, now what question are you going to ask her that you guys learned tonight about viruses? What question would you ask her? Do any foods bother this? Any foods bother this?
Probably.
Stand up for a second. She said probably. Put your arm out. Hold tight. One. Hold. This is her jaw. I'm just curious to see if her jaw is where it's supposed to be sitting. Stick your finger right there. Hold tight. Right there. Did you ever have mono?
No.
Okay. Hold tight. Good. Start with the jaw. Make sure the jaw is in place just because it's something odd. Hold tight. Good. This hit you all at one day?
Yeah.
All at one day overnight? What did the doctors do?
Give me steroids.
What happened?
I stopped taking them.
How long did it take you to stop taking them?
Probably a month or so.
Then what they want to do?
I went to a specialist and ear, nose, and throat, and came in and he said, "Oh, Botox." He could fix the other side to match. So I didn't go back.
Now, what do you... Now, trigeminal neuralgia, Bell's palsy, tic de la Rue, right now, if you saw what this is, a guy comes in this winter, my nose is totally numb. I've been all over the place, my nose is numb. No, Bell's palsy, is your fifth cranial nerve. You had a virus hit your olfactory nerve. I'm watching viral attacks in different cranial nerves. I had a lady fly in from Colorado. I had shots in my nursing school, and I got my eye closed after the shots. Well, this virus in her bloodstream attacked her oculomotor nerve. So today, I've had people, something's wrong with my tongue. Well, a virus just hit your tongue. Now, 4 years of a paralyzed nerve completely stinks. So the first thing you got to do is I do it just like you, the cerebral, I got to get into that nerve. Now, it's going to stink to do this. Second, what am I going to do for the nerve? Motor functions under B. I use cataplex B for motor function, and you're going to try to remyelinate it with the oils. So you got to feed the nerve. When all these nasty neurologic conditions come in, you got to try to stop the cause and feed the nerve. So half of this is going to be try to feed that paralyzed nerve that's atrophied, but you don't want to treat a nerve 4 years later. You want to catch it a lot earlier than this. But you could get a very slow turnaround by using all the antivirals, and you got to start to feed that, let's call it sciatica in the face that has withered away. So the two things for that, and she's going to write some suggestions down, but that would be a great start. And remember those foods that can aggravate your face. Can you pick out one of those that bothers you?
Most of those that were on the list.
I'll tell you what, you watch taking a bunch of lysine and stopping those food triggers, her face could feel 50% better just from that. Thank you for helping me. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know it's a complicated thing. Now, I want to make sure I covered. I will absolutely let you. Is there any specific question? Now, I want to say something about the flu this year. Before you guys panic about the flu, it took something unusual this year for me to realize this year everybody got sick from about 40 down. Every old person made it through this year. I don't know how many old people got sick. I didn't see hardly any. So today, it was very interesting to watch, and the youth got taken out and the kids. My kids got the flu. Derek got it really good. We were on vacation. First vacation he really lost. And I watched a bunch of kids have the flu. None of the old people got sick this year. The old people slid right through this year like nothing. Why? Why? Nope. Why? They've already had it. So none of the old people got the flu because you've already saw the strains that went around this year. I had the most debilitated people go to take care of their kids who were all sick on their crutches and walkers, and they went and everybody drooled, the people spit up on them. Then they took their bag of medications and went home. So today, I'm telling you, the old people flew through this winter like nothing. My parents, you get anything? No. They all have been exposed to whatever strain went around. All right, Kelly put I have a special ending for you folks today that Kelly put up. I always wondered where this came from. You know, raising kids outside of the medical system, you know, can I tell you something? I got my kids doing their fish oils, they take their minerals, they do their stuff, and I say, look, I homeschooled them until they were in 10th grade. We didn't do anything. I just didn't want to learn the crap that they were teaching them in school. Ceramics and ashtrays, I don't really care about racket sports and, you know, whether you can make a biscuit or something. Nobody's going to pay you to make a biscuit. So I want to ask this question, what happened? Where did this whole thing start from? Well, I found it. It's a Nobel Prize winner, and there's a book. I'm going to have to play this twice, because I don't know if you're going to get it the first time, but go for it. Watch.
Nobel Prize winner Russell wrote at length about how vaccinations filled with mercury and other brain-damaging compounds would induce partial chemical lobotomies and develop a servile zombie population.
Diet, injections, and injunctions will combine from a very early age to produce the sort of character and the sort of beliefs that the authorities consider desirable, and any serious criticism of the powers that be will become psychologically impossible. Bertrand Russell.
Nobel Prize winner Russell wrote at length about how vaccinations filled with mercury and other brain-damaging compounds would induce partial chemical lobotomies and develop a servile zombie population.
Diet, injections, and injunctions will combine from a very early age to produce the sort of character and the sort of beliefs that the authorities consider desirable, and any serious criticism of the powers that be will become psychologically impossible. Bertrand Russell.
The Impact of Science and Society by Bertrand Russell, one of our Nobel Prize winners, suggested mercury was a great way to help keep things under control. It's worked quite well. You can look up that book. The kids are going to start to exercise. You can come in and get some tests run. I want to thank all you people for coming. And the science, the Impact of Science on Society by Bertrand Russell. I got to do a memory lecture in August. I want to thank all of you for coming. I ask you to keep your mind open. Start to think for yourselves. Don't let the TV run your show anymore. And thank you all for coming, and to my son's friends.